Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Philadelphia College Prep Roundtable. This is Tom Butler, Executive Director of the Philadelphia College Prep Roundtable, and we have what we think is a very engaging meeting topic that we want to discuss today on AI. And we have some really outstanding presenters. I'm going to turn this over to Nasir Jones, digital tech master, tech ninja guy that will take it over and run the presentation from here. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, those of you who are watching the recording, you can send them to contact at College Prep Roundtable, contact at College Prep Roundtable. But we will be starting right now. Nasir, it's your show. Take it over, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom, for having me moderate this discussion this morning. Tom, if you can turn off your sound and stop sharing, that would be excellent. Folks, thanks for jumping on with us this morning. We know that you're all busy. You all have a lot of stuff going on in your lives, and thank you for coming into this conversation. This morning's conversation really about AI is not your normal conversation where we're going to be talking about AI in theory and how, it can impact the world. It's really more of an internal conversation amongst us as practitioners about how AI can help impact our work on a day-to-day basis. So we want to kind of bring it down a few notches and really have just a direct conversation with each other and how this is impacting K-12, how it's impacting higher ed, and really what students need to know to navigate this space. I've been involved with what we currently call AI since November 2022. In my little white hacker communities, there was all of this conversation about, did you get your code? Did you get your code? And the code was you could not get access to Chat GPT unless you were able to get a unique code or someone share the code with you. And once I finally got the code, I knew what I had on my hands. I knew that our world would be different. And so since November 2022, I have been kind of knee deep in the weeds of where this is going, how it impacts our work, and really, studying the overall landscape in my own particular work. I'm serving in dual roles today in this meeting. One, I am on the ops team here at College Prep Roundtable. Have been involved with College Prep Roundtable for maybe 20 years or so. So I've been in this work with you all. I've spent a ton of time in this Philadelphia School District, 25 years. I can't even believe that I'm saying that I've been doing this work for 25 years. I'll share a little bit more about myself later, but I want to just kind of give a little overview of what it is. Tom, you're still sharing a little bit here, so I want to give a little bit of an overview of what it is that you can expect for today. Again, if you don't know me, my name is Nasir Jones. I'm the one that's always bugging you over email and messaging related to our website and such. But today, what are the stakes? What do we really need to be thinking about as the stakes as it relates to AI? I really feel like a modern day Paul Revere, where I am not saying that the British are coming. I'm saying that AI is here. So whether you are a skeptic like me or an enthusiast like me, in every station along the way, AI is here. It's not going away. What do we need to be thinking about in our in our work as practitioners, right? What is the responsibility that we share together in how we help students navigate what AI looks like for us? But really, the goal today is to walk away with some actionable strategies that you can use as a practitioner. Like when you get off this call, you can begin to implement some things that I think could be game changing, and we have a great lineup of experts here to speak to you today. Um, so what we're going to be talking about, some of you have kind of alluded to this in the beginning of our call, is what is the student impact of AI? We're going to be talking a little bit about how PCPR is taking a leadership role in what I call bending the AI curve, and we'll be talking about a new tool that we're going to make available for practitioners. We're going to be talking a little bit about staff efficiency, how you can utilize some of these tools to help you work better, faster, more efficiently, and help you develop maybe some strategic goals that you may or may not be thinking about in your organization, which I think is a really important thing today. Today, on our expert panel, I can't believe that people call me an AI expert, but we have Dr. Fran Newberg, who's the Deputy Chief over at the Office of Education Technology in the School District of Philadelphia. We also have Dr. Pamela McCauley, who's the Dean at the School of Engineering at Widener University. And then your host and moderator, I'll spend a little time talking to you about this concept of bend the AI curve and some other things that we're working on right here in Philadelphia. But our first speaker for today is Dr. Fran Newberg, Deputy Chief at the School District of Philadelphia. She is unwinding all of these moving parts in the school district and creating policies related to AI, related to staff, related to administration, and helping trying to connect the dots for the school district of Philadelphia. She is responsible for implementing professional development for over 7,000 classrooms. It's an amazing number of folks that she has to work with and manage every single day. She's also leading and really, I guess, would be described as co-leading the implementation of what are the policies that need to be implemented related to AI across the school district, and really a leader in this space. So, without further ado, Doc, I'm going to stop sharing and share your presentation. But if I missed anything, feel free to come off mute and add whatever you feel like I missed.
No, thank you very much. It is my pleasure to be with all of you and share what we are doing in the School District of Philadelphia to prepare our students. And I hope you leave with some knowledge about what our students are learning or potentially not learning, so that in your roles, you will know how to best support the students, either entering your institutions or as you're preparing them to apply for college. So, and we could go to the next slide, which is one of our many definitions of AI. And we've really tried to help teachers to understand that AI is really nothing new. It has been in the background of education for many, many, many years, really. And I will share our guidelines, and I'd love you all to use them as a reference to understand what we're doing with our students. Our guidelines are generative AI guidelines, and we're releasing another version that will just be AI guidelines. But we realize that AI literacy is not ubiquitous across all of our educators at all. So we really started from the ground up and talked about predictive AI, which has been part of our adaptive tools for 15 plus years, and really tried to define what is different with generative AI. And you can go to the next slide, please. So we did develop a set of guidelines, and the guidelines are for both staff and students. And the principles that underpin these guidelines are as follows: that we really want the students to be at the center. And for teachers, we really want to honor the primacy of the adult, the teacher in the room, as the primary designer of instruction, and really help our educators to understand it is one tool of many. It's a pivotal tool. I liken this to almost the internet itself, or Web 2.0. It is a huge moment, but it is another tool. We really lean into academic integrity and responsible use. And we believe, and when I say we, the leaders at the school district that have co-developed this believe that it is our responsibility to teach students how to use this ethically. We're very, very, very focused on privacy and data protection, and that is pre-generative AI. We have been instructing and providing a lot of professional development around the concern around picking up a tool and just using it without having some terms of service in place that protect data, that protect privacy. We do believe that this is a matter of equity, and that for students that are not exposed to AI will be at a disadvantage when they go to college or move into their career. AI literacy, if there was one thing that would be on my biggest wish list, it would be that the state would require that every student have digital literacy, and within that would be media literacy and AI literacy. It is now an optional course. And for the good of the group in attendance, we do offer digital literacy in our elementary schools and middle schools. We have 167 elementary and middle schools. It is currently offered in 135 because it is not a mandated subject. In high school, we have been working with Drexel and Temple to increase access to computer science, to inspire that possibility as a career for our students. So in 2017, we only had about 11 schools offering computer science. And those of you who are Philly people know that it was in our special admit schools. Our work with Drexel and Temple was to expand access to computer science in our neighborhood high schools. And we've more than doubled access. But again, AI literacy, that is the work that the people that I work with do. We're constantly going into professional learning communities, trying to build our teachers, our principals, our leaders AI literacy, and working with principals to offer these courses in their schools. We do focus on safety and well-being. I think our next horizon is to really provide lessons around AI companions, which we're very, very concerned about in our space in K-12. And we're revising the guidelines that we put out 18 months ago, and we know that this is an iterative process that will always be changing. So in my time with you today, I'd like to give you a little flavor of what we're saying to teachers. You can advance to the next slide, please. So one of the things that is connected to data privacy and security, and I want to emphasize, this is not just with AI, this is with every technology tool, that it must be reviewed and approved. And for that reason, we also have approved AI tools. And why are these are our approved tools? Because we are an enterprise Google district, and we have terms of service that protect not only student data, but staff data, that they will not share data, they will not mine data, they will not use it to train the model. So we're living in I would say, a walled garden, and it is a continual conversation with educators why they just can't use anything and everything. So these are our approved tools, and we believe that Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, and some people have real specific opinions about what they think is best, but I believe a chatbot is a chatbot. Gemini is our chatbot, and it is within our walled garden, and we think data, of course, especially in K-12, data privacy is expected. It is absolutely expected. Next slide, please. Embedded in our guidelines, we really believe that there's opportunities with AI. It's not all risk, but we'd like to highlight that for students, for high school students. And you can see the issues, and when we meet with teachers, there's some very, very huge concern about environmental impact. Many teachers are very concerned about the cognitive impact. And for that reason, we talk about it as a tool that you have to be very selective about when you use it, when you may not use it. And I will talk about sometimes I'm looking at a comment right now. Sometimes students need to know that it is permissible to use AI. So we believe that a teacher, if they become the leader in helping students to understand the when and the how, those students will be much better poised to move into post-graduation more successfully. But I will say again, for those who support students on their college journey, that they may not have been exposed, because as you know, we are working with 10,000 plus professional educators. We can put guidelines out, we can make recommendations. And there are some teachers, and I will say to you, many, many teachers currently are very anti-AI. So we are continuing to promote this message. But for you on the other side that are helping try to support students, know that they may not have heard this message that I'm sharing with you. Next slide, please, Nasir. So within our guidelines, I'm just highlighting two implication for learning sections. I will not read all of this, but we have provided for teachers and for students an AI use continuum. And I'm going to share little snapshots of that continuum. And what we're asking educators and students is to think about, how can this tool best help me in this exercise, this assignment? There are some things that are uniquely meant to be interactive. No AI needed. There are some things that are meant to be, what do you as a student know on your own? But there are many times that AI can help a student, and we will be talking about those different suggestions that we're giving to both staff and students. One thing that's very important, and I was surprised that this wasn't just common knowledge or just naturally understood. AI is another source, just like any other source. And if you directly quote, you should be citing. There should be a citation. So really leaning into, if you do a direct quote, ensure that you are citing the work or you are putting it in your own language. The last bullet that is a cause of a lot of contention is that we have not approved any AI detectors, because AI detectors are very unreliable. And what we've been doing is sharing some of the early research coming out that they're about 50% reliable, and they over-identify some students. And therefore, we are not permitting them, and we are suggesting, if you want no AI use, do in-person assessment. We have certain tools that can restrict everything, go back to some paper and pencil, and people are, I will say, as some educators are not happy about that. But from all of our research, all of our consultation, AI detectors are very unreliable. Next slide, please, Nasir. Another implication for learning is verifying your information. So we are in a walled garden, but we are still telling our students to please not put personal information in. Even though you're in a walled garden, when you go home, when you are older, avoid putting those different pieces, elements, and metrics into any AI tool. We talk about using our vetted tools, and we talk about validating the information, the output. It's very important. Some people are very concerned about cognitive offloading, and I believe that content knowledge is even more important in an AI-driven world. You need to evaluate your output, because these tools still hallucinate. I'm sure many of you have heard that term. They make up information that looks very, very valid. But if you check the source, it may not be valid. And we think that is a critical skill for our students to understand and to learn, not to trust the output. Next slide, please. So our AI use continuum is as such. Oh, please say that loudly again. Yes, you must verify. I will tell you a story that we met with principals. So we start with our leadership. We meet with the leadership in schools, and we had a principal tell us 7 months ago that he was doing a dissertation and used Gemini or ChatGPT to find sources. And he received like 40 plus sources with a little abstract. They looked fantastic. When he checked, more than 50% of them did not exist anywhere in the world. So that is a story I tell students frequently. You must verify the information. You cannot cut and paste and trust any of this. So our levels of use are no AI use at all, AI-assisted idea generation, AI-assisted editing, AI-assisted task completion, and unrestricted use of Gen AI. So I just want to go through these, take a minute or two for each of some of these levels. We could go to the next slide. So when we talk about no AI use, you want students to demonstrate their learning. The assignment may be written in class, or we have a tool called GoGuardian so that educators can say you are only going to your Google Doc and nothing else. So if you write, it's just you and the keyboard. And there are times when, as a teacher, you really want that. And we lean in on, you don't have anything to disclose because you are generating all of the content. Go to the next slide, please. And then we talk about idea generation. So we really want this is as much for our educators again as our students, because educators have to think about, this is such a powerful tool. What are the ways I can use it? So exploring new content, consider new ways of thinking about ideas. So for a student, it could be used for brainstorming. It could be used for organizing ideas. It could be used for an outline. It could be used for developing questions. And with this, the teacher may say, I want you to disclose how you used it. I might want to see a prompt, but we say this is really up to the teacher to determine. And what we are really trying to emphasize, give the students permission to use the tool. We don't want them to feel that this is something that they have to hide. So let's go to the next slide. The level 3 is assisted editing, which I will say I love AI for. I love it, a piece of writing to me, my own voice, and put it in and say, give me feedback, check my grammar, but give me suggestions. So you're not developing new content, but you are using it to make improvements. So in this, we say to teachers and to students, your AI disclosure is required. The teacher, we want to empower teachers to provide specific disclosure expectations. It could be sharing your prompts and your iterations. You could, as a teacher, say, I would like to see your first draft. I would like to see your prompt. Your second draft, which suggestions did you incorporate? And if there's a third draft. Again, we want students to leave us understanding how to use these tools ethically. Let's go to the last level for task completion. So you can use it to scaffold your learning. You can use it to complete parts of a task. You can use it to research. And here we're saying disclosure is required, and your teacher has to tell you which style of citation they would like you to incorporate into your research paper. Again, all of these levels of use are meant to empower the teacher and the student. Let's go to the next slide, please. So some of the things that we have learned, and I mentioned this, that critical thinking, everyone, many teachers, and I will tell you, our English teachers in high school are probably the most angry about AI. They think that this is the end of critical thinking and metacognition. But critical thinking and content knowledge is much more important, because you have to be able to validate the information. And I will always believe that AI is prone to errors, and you must check and validate. We also believe that building this knowledge of how AI works, how it predicts, how it is designed to want to please you. Our educators have to understand the fundamental way that AI works. And bias is real. And we want to say, we tell our students, we said our educators expect it and address it. Look at a picture, look at an output, and have a discussion with students. Is this accurate? Does this actually represent whatever you were asking it to do? So have the conversations. And Gen AI does present a huge environmental concern. It needs to be understood. And for those very concerned, you might really, really monitor your use of AI. We are finding that not all teachers are interested in using AI, and some are very angry that we are even engaging in professional development about it. I couldn't even begin to tell you the angry emails that I have received from teachers. My boss has received emails that she thinks it is unethical that we have engaged in this process. We have teachers that want us to block AI, and AI detectors do not work, and many teachers and many administrators want us to approve one. And I think I have one slide, which is our guidelines. that I wanted to share. So am I able to take any questions? Is there time for that? I can look in the chat.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me just are you good with your presentation before we open it up
I
for
am.
questions? All
I
right,
am.
perfect. All right, perfect. I have a quick question to get started. Doc's going to be leaving us a little bit early, folks. Dr. Newberg's going to be leaving us early, so if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. We'll try to get as many answered as we can. But Dr. Newberg, I think there is, as I said early on in the presentation, which is you have your AI skeptics who are like just either getting started or at the front end and maybe not as familiar. Then you have your AI enthusiasts. How are you navigating that amongst your staff, even amongst students? I hear students who have been told AI is the worst thing that ever can happen in the world. And so how are you navigating that as a team?
As a team, we are saying to teachers that if you don't want to use AI, we are not saying it is required. But we say your students are going home. They're living in an AI-driven world, in a connected world. And you need to understand that when you give assignments, how AI might be impacting what you are receiving. And we're constantly encouraging them, don't you want to be in the driver's seat? Don't you want to say, for this assignment, I'd like you to use AI? So we're power of persuasion, Nasir, power of
Okay.
persuasion. But again, it is not required that you as an educator use AI.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We'll take more questions. I'm sure people will have questions. Certainly submit them in the chat. Feel free to answer. Someone else Leslie Gordon just asked a great question here. As a former classroom instructor, I understand the angst. AI diminishes initiative and creative thinking practices. However, it creates the opportunities to use those same critical thinking skills to filter AI generated data. I think you touched on that. Would you mind just drilling down a little bit more on that?
Yes, the big concern, the big term is this cognitive offloading that you're really not going to be working, you're really not going to be learning um, critical thinking skills and your ability to think and create and synthesize and write will be diminished. And I do think that that's a very legitimate concern. That is why I think it is incumbent on teachers to structure assessments so that you have no AI assessments. You structure them in your classroom and you do them frequently, but you definitely structure assessments or activities where you want AI used. I think it really comes back down to the teacher as being the primary designer of instruction, so that doesn't happen. And yes, I do agree with the fact that your critical thinking definitely comes in as the evaluator of the output. You must evaluate that output. Absolutely.
Awesome. Hillary Kane said, it's one thing to be an adult picking this tool up later. I think in life, it feels different to have it baked in from the beginning. My guess here is that, these tools are important to prepare the students for the next generation of jobs, next generation of infrastructure that's being built today. How are you all thinking about that as a district?
I didn't understand that first
So
part of
if
the
if I
question.
could just cut, like, yes,
Yeah,
I
go ahead,
get
Hillary.
that.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I mean, I get that. Yes, I'm using critical thinking when I evaluate AI results. But I feel like I can only do that because I actually learned stuff in the first place. And,
Absolutely.
you know, I mean, I don't use AI intentionally very frequently. I mean, it's just around me, like I can't avoid it. But, when I do an AI search, it's clearly like gleaning from the internet and, it's synthesizing data, right? But to me, that is fundamentally the skill set that we are trying to teach young people is to be able to take input A and input B and input C, whether that's written words, your lived experience, the thing you saw on the news, and synthesize. And so if we outsource that thinking to something else, it feels, I'm really struggling to sort of figure out what, like, yes, it's going to be here and like it is what it is. And we can't obviously as a society have a reasoned conversation and decide to put something back in a box. Like that's not happening. But it also doesn't feel right to just run screaming, embracing it as if there's no consequences. I don't know. I'm really struggling with this.
So is that Hillary speaking?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Sorry.
yes.
Hillary, I completely agree with you. Students need to learn content. There should be discourse in classrooms. There should be discovery in classrooms. This is a tool that has to be used very strategically. And it, in my opinion, should not be every day. It should
Right.
not be in every, like I have a 55-minute period, English period. It should not take up all of my time, but it should be used strategically. Like I love the idea of help me generate an outline. I love the idea of give me feedback on my content, but it takes an instructor. And that's why we're really trying to, especially our high school teachers, we're really trying to get them to embrace not using it every day, but understanding what students might be doing and restructure, rethink assessment, rethink the interaction in your classroom, rethink what you grade. So yes, I agree with you. And we need our educators to not think this is taking over every minute of every period of their class, but use it strategically as a tool. And my fear is that if the instructors, the adults, don't get ahead of this, students will misuse it and may miss a lot of content development. Yes.
Dr. Newberg, thank you for spending so much time with us. We know how busy your schedule is, and really appreciate it. I'd like to get you out of here on this last question here, which is, I know we've talked a lot about, your role in the administration, as well as the instructor component and student component. Do you all have plans to either roll something out for parents, or how are you addressing the parental component to all of this?
Well, right now we have a parent university and we'd like to offer like AI essentials for parents. And what I would love to see is a communication that's available on our websites for parents to read fundamentals about AI to understand it a little better. But we're working with our parent university. And I will be able to say I would like to hear my other peers on the panel present. I'm leaving about 10:30, 10:40.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that presentation. Can we get a couple thumbs up or hand claps for Doc being able to share a little time with us this morning? I would appreciate that for sure. I'm going to bring our next speaker up here this morning. Thanks for your great presentation this
My
morning.
pleasure. Thank you.
Let me share my screen again here. And next up this morning, we have Dr. Pamela McCauley out of the great school of Widener University in the School of Engineering, doing some incredible work at Widener. Currently working on, I think, a minor as it relates to AI, which is absolutely incredible that she's integrating this into her operation over there at Widener University. You can see all of the great credentials that she has here, visiting professor at MIT, currently leading the School of Engineering, has developed many STEM and DEI type programs as a fellow through the U.S. Department of State. I mean, just a fantastic person, but really someone who's looking at this from a higher ed standpoint, where trying not to create this adversarial relationship between professors and instructors and students, but I just think brings a different perspective than the typical way that, I think even universities are looking at this. So without further ado, she's going to present here for about 20 minutes or so, and we'll open it up for questions for her as well.
Thank you so much, Nasser, for such a gracious introduction. And Dr. Newberg, that was a wonderful presentation. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And I've been monitoring some of the questions in the chat, and I'm very excited to see the level of enthusiasm. And obviously there's some skepticism with understanding, but AI is, as Dr. Newberg said, just a tool. Fortunately or unfortunately, it brings many new opportunities. Just as Dr. Marina Barnett from Widener said, she's old enough to remember when they did talk the same about calculators. And I certainly remember when the internet came out, and there was a very similar response. And so I think it's prudent for us as educators to really try to get out in front of it. And I commend Dr. Newberg and her colleagues for their effort and the work they're putting in to help prepare their educators for this, because it really will make a difference in the long term. So I would like to share a presentation with you, and then hopefully I won't go a whole 20 minutes. I'd much rather have time to chat with you. And so let me share my screen, and I will begin to, can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so again, thank you so much for the invitation to the Philadelphia College Prep Roundtable. And I want to commend you all as well for having this kind of meeting. Throughout my career, I feel like while Nasser shared some of the technical things I've done, I've absolutely loved my career as an engineer. And so I feel like I've had a parallel career track, though, trying to get more other people, more underrepresented folks into engineering and STEM fields. And so seeing you all do this just warms my heart, because I do think AI, it just as the internet, AI is also a game changer. And so the more we know, the more we're prepared as a community to have benefit rather than suffer from the advances. So with that, Dr. Newberg shared in a similar definition of AI, and it really is an application that represents our ability, the ability of computers to do human tasks. And this is not new. I shared with my fellow panelists earlier when we were preparing that over 30 years ago, when I finished my doctorate degree, I wrote an expert system, which is an AI tool, and almost got carpal tunnel because I wrote like 10,000 lines of code. And I'm an industrial engineer, but I wrote this system to predict the risk of occupational injury in the manufacturing environment. And so this is not new, but it's because our computing capabilities have improved so much. We have enhanced the level of activity that a system can do. So again, these processes have been applied for years, but think about now what we're experiencing in 26. So buckle up, folks. I mean, I think we're going to see even more. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the responses we're having and at Widener, but AI is entering all aspects, not just educational, but I say vocational, and that's the career tracks that you may enter into a high paying and career with a very livable wage when you graduate from high school, if you have an understanding of artificial intelligence. That's very real. But it's also entering our professional environments. We see that employers are now expecting students who graduate to understand AI, and then even our personal environments. I was watching a program the other day, and a guy said when his wife asked him to do something, he went to ChatGPT and said, "ChatGPT, can we really do that?" And so it's everywhere. I mean, it is starting to be everywhere. So we really do need to have an understanding of it. And Dr. Newberg shared some of the tools that they are using, and I wanted to share just some general AI assist tools. And some of the ones you probably heard more about are ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Gemini, and then Claude. And then there are many more, but these are some of the tools that we're seeing students and just everyday folks use. And I will say I'm very glad we're dealing with the ethical issues, but I am delighted to see everyday folks using AI. I mean, I really am. I think it's going to break down some of the barriers and the fear that we see in the general community. So with that said, as from a leadership standpoint at Widener, we have begun to address this because I have students that know much more about AI than my faculty, than the staff. And so one of the things that we are doing, in addition to creating a minor, I am providing training for my team. And that's increasing their comfort level. So training for faculty and staff, and then encouraging faculty to create AI learning experiences in their coursework, because some of the students have used it and some haven't. So there's a wide range in terms of competence, AI literacy among our students. So introducing it as a part of the learning experience is one way to help grow that knowledge and also teach them how to use it ethically. And the first bullet I should have mentioned, Widener is engaged at a university level in an AI initiative to address the national educational AI concerns. And so recognizing that this is a problem that the national, if not international, educational community is working to address and to get out in front of. So understanding what guidelines are reasonable, how can we monitor things, how can we encourage ethical and beneficial use of AI, and not just that, it enhances efficiency. Dr. Newberg mentioned efficiency as well. It can be a game changer as it relates to efficiency, but it needs to be done in a proper way. And then so we're also developing AI policy for students so they can understand how to ethically use AI in their studies. And let me share this. We have an academic review board committee that meets to address ethical issues or integrity violations among students. Last year, the two cases were both about AI. And these were two students who really didn't understand. And I believe that maybe I'm a sucker for a soft story, but they said that they really didn't understand what they were doing was wrong. And so that, again, increased our need to understand how to ethically share with students what and how to use AI for. So now AI literacy matters. It really matters. It's already shaping college admissions, the workforce. Think about a student who can write. If you have to write an essay, if you go to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, talk about me and how I was head of the soccer team and I won this award, and then I was captain of the debate team, and tie that into the values associated with this institution that I'm applying for. Well, they're very likely going to have a very powerful and compelling essay, whereas another student may just sit down and try to handwrite it. Well, hopefully what that student who uses AI will do will then go back and make sure that it's clear, but it is making a difference. And so we're evaluating this, as a entry requirements for school. And of course, we run through things through the AI tester. And like my previous presenter, Dr. Newberg, said, they're unreliable. And so you could say, well, this student cheated, but everything that it says is true. They were captain of the debate team. They did lead their soccer team to a national championship. And so it really matters that we understand how AI is impacting opportunities. And here, once again, I do not want certain groups to be left behind. So early guidance really helps us reduce misuse and anxiety. So for me, as a dean of the School of Engineering, I'm thrilled when I hear that high school teachers and counselors are getting up on AI and teaching students how to use it when it's ethical, because that makes our job easier. So when they get to us, we don't have to have that spend as much time preparing them in terms of understanding, but we can talk to them about how to build a bridge, design a bridge faster using AI, how to look at what the risk factors are. Present your design to an AI system. Tell me what the 3 top risk factors are. And so really understanding how to use AI at an early age is beneficial for our students and for our educational community. So how AI can also positively support high school students, because there are so many benefits. And as Nasser said, you got your detractors, you got your, I feel like I'm not just a positive person about it. I feel like a crusader. I want us to use AI. I want us to grow in AI. I want us to develop tools that are tailored to meet the needs of our communities and our students. And so AI really can today positively support high school students in many ways. And I still want them to have critical thinking skills. I remember, as a PhD advisor for my students, they didn't understand how to go through a scientific article. So over 15 years ago, I created a document to teach them how to go through a scholarly article, to what concepts to pull from it, the theory, the methodology, what was it founded in good theory. And so today, obviously, you can have AI do that. But there's nothing to say that the student can't still be taught to understand these concepts, but the AI tool can assist them in doing that. And that's bullet number 1, organizing ideas, also improving study habits, practicing writing and problem solving with feedback, and also supporting confidence for first generation and minority students. I'm a first gen graduate, and I know I took calc. I always say, my dad told me I was smart, so I had to succeed. I mean, no one could tell me I wasn't smart because my father told me I was smart. But I took calculus 2 3 times. 3 times. I graduated from high school at 16, got an associate degree. I thought I was ready for school. It was so hard for me to understand my professor and the tutors. If I'd had AI and it could tell me what each problem was like and explain the different elements, I can't imagine how much easier it would have been. And so again, but I persisted and I made it. But I think it can make it easier for our students if we really do embrace some of these tools. Now, with that said, one of the questions, I think it was Shamik asked of Dr. Newberg, what do we think about colleges expecting students to have some literacy as it relates to AI? Because we're seeing that. Now, relax, we're not expecting students to be AI experts. I don't think any institution is expecting that. But it is beneficial for them to have some knowledge, and they should understand ethical and transparent AI use, what that means. And many of them do not today. AI can also support learning, but we are not expecting it to replace original thinking. And also, students should be able to explain how they used AI. I love that they're requiring them to share the prompt that they use if they turn in an assignment that is generated with AI. So we are expecting them to have some knowledge, but we are not expecting them to be experts. So we can relax about that. But the policies are evolving, and it's really focused on appropriate uses, then clearly identifying and articulating to our students what those inappropriate uses are, and then unintentional misuse, because again, that can still have serious consequences. As I shared with you, the students who are brought up on our academic review board, who I sincerely believe did not know what they were doing was inappropriate. And in fact, one of them said he was so moved by that he was brought up on academic review board that he wants to be a part of educating future students about how to ethically use AI. So once again, AI can be an equity supporting tool. It can provide access to learning support way beyond tutoring. At 2:00 in the morning when you wake up because you're stressed out about a physics exam, you don't have to call a tutor. You can get online and start to get some feedback on how to understand or do your physics problems. Help students, again, prepare for college level expectations. It also supports career readiness. I mentioned entering the workforce after high school. If you have some AI literacy, there are going to be more and more opportunities available to folks to go right to work using AI. And it requires teaching students the question about bias and accuracy. Yes, the bias is real. I have a very good friend, Dr. Faye Cobb-Payton, who has done research on AI bias for years. And it is so important that research continue and that we integrate that into all of our new and growing AI solutions. So again, what Widener University is doing, establishing clear guidance on ethical use, designing assignments, and ensuring consistency and transparency for students. And this is evolving. I mean, I'm talking about Widener here, in a couple of spaces and places because I'm so enthusiastic about it, but I don't want you to think that we've got it all figured out. We are still working on this, still investing in AI, training faculty and staff, and because every day there's something new, there's a new tool. Or there's a new condition to evaluate. So really, this is something that we're taking very seriously, but we are moving ahead very enthusiastically with this. So as I look at some guidance for high school counselors, I would encourage you to treat AI or ask your students, you as well as your students, because some of the best teaching is by modeling. But use AI as a study partner, not a shortcut. You as counselors can find ways to use AI in your work. And helping students practice ethical disclosure of AI, reinforce that colleges, we're not anti-AI. Now, you can't have AI doing your work, but we are not anti-AI. And encourage your students to learn more about AI and how to properly use it. There are many online courses that are available for free that students can use. Students, faculty, counselors can use to learn more about AI. And in addition to my presentation, I prepared a document with some of those resources that I'll be happy to share. And then prepare students by learning and sharing the benefits of AI in college and career pathways. If you have used AI as a counselor to help identify, say, some tools or resources that could be beneficial to students, and then vet them, because again, AI will hallucinate. That would be a fun thing for you to share with students to help them maybe become more comfortable with it. So again, that's just one point. Another point, colleges expect students to be thoughtful users and not to avoid it. Do not come to college afraid of AI. Please tell them that. Okay. Do not be afraid that we're going to expect you to be an expert. Okay. But do not be afraid of AI. And so know that we're going to be asking you to use it for different or expecting or comfortable with you using it for different things, such as some of the things I've already mentioned: brainstorming, clarifying thoughts, organizing, or giving feedbacks on draft. Dr. Newberg mentioned putting in a article you've written and asking it to give you feedback. Help me update this. You know, I give speeches to multiple audiences. And so sometimes I'll have a presentation that I've given to a group of engineering colleagues or educators. And then I have to go to a community church and talk to them about the same concept. And I'll ask ChatGPT, help me adapt this presentation so that it is in a language that for high school students and middle school students. So those are the kinds of things that would be a very good use of AI. And again, students need to be prepared to explain how they use AI if they are asked. And that's a part of educating them on the ethical use, because if they know that they're going to be asked to share the prompt, and then what did you do when you got the information? Did you validate the sources? Those are the kinds of things that can really help them be prepared and thoughtful users of AI rather than avoiders. Another point, AI use an academic integrity skill is an academic integrity skill, not a shortcut. So, you know, I'm reiterating much of what I've said before. So using AI to improve grammar and clarity. And you know, how many of us have used Grammarly? Okay. You know, Grammarly is a form of AI. Okay. So we've been using forms of AI in many cases and didn't know. Practice problem solving, develop study plans. I mean, I can't tell you. I just had a student that I met with the other day, and bright student, but wasn't doing well. And so I said, well, I just asked, why do you think you're not doing well? Well, I really don't know how to develop a good study plan. Well, that's a great thing to ask AI to help you develop. He's an athlete. He needs to go to tutoring. And then, of course, obviously, he's a student. So that's a great thing to say, listen, I'm a student athlete. I have practiced 5 days a week, and then I need to see the tutor at these times. Please develop a study plan that works for me, that still allows me to get 8 hours of sleep a night. Those are great kind of things, okay, to use AI for. And so I encouraged him to develop a study plan and meet with his advisor. But again, you can do this using AI and then take it to your advisor. Say, what do you think about this study plan? And then don't submit AI-generated work. Dr. Barnett and I talk about this. You know, there'll be students in a class, they'll all use ChatGPT for an assignment, and you don't need a AI evaluator because they all turned in the same assignment, okay? Because they all got it from ChatGPT and just turned it in. So I say avoid. Do not submit AI-generated work as your own. Just taking it, copy it, and then submit it. No, you can look at it, say, extract things from it, cite it because you didn't write it. That's a term. Cite it because you didn't write it. So, and then use the useful information, but make sure that it is still your work. So, again, counselors, I just got my reflections here, use AI to brainstorm, but the final content has to be their own. And it builds trust and prepares them for the college expectation, because that's what we're going to be expecting when they get to us. And we want to make their college entry experience as pleasant as possible. But point 3, AI really can strengthen college readiness. It can be a powerful equity supporting tool. It has to be used properly, okay? Again, I mentioned the access to tutoring, college prep services, and then informal mentoring. And it really can support students ethically. Breaking down those complex readings. I mean, I love to read, but I mean, sometimes students need help in understanding what the complexities, depending on what your strengths are. Sometimes you need help with a math concept or a science concept, and really asking it to break that down so that it's clear and makes sense for the student can be so powerful. And again, preparing, if they still don't understand, they can say, ChatGPT, I still don't understand. Tell me what questions I need to ask my teacher or counselor to get a better understanding of this concept going forward. Great uses of AI. Great use of AI. So again, we already talked about the biases and inaccuracies that are there, but teaching them how to use this from a positive standpoint. And position AI as a confidence building tool. Some students feel like if I ask that, I'll sound stupid. No, you will not sound stupid. You will not sound stupid. And if you said to ChatGPT, what questions should I ask so I don't sound stupid? I mean, if they really did that, it would say, if you ask this question in this manner, it will demonstrate that you have read the material and understand this, but you need further clarification on X, Y, and Z. Great confidence builders. So talk to them about these kinds of ways to use AI and how it can be beneficial for them. And then it can and should be an advantage. It should not lead to disadvantages. I'm just waiting for somebody to write the paper on the AI digital divide. Nasser, maybe that's your lane, but I mean, I expect to see it, and I am working hard, but I'm so glad to see all of these other people here, because at this stage of my career, I need some time on the beach. So I'm so happy to see so many people here that are focused on this, but it should empower our students, not disadvantage them. And this guidance, using this to build confidence, helping understand how to use it ethically so that we're clear in integrity issues, and it enhances their readiness. But folks, we have to be intentional. And that's why, again, I commend the Philadelphia Roundtable, because this is an intentional initiative to do just that. So delighted to be a part of this. And finally, it's not going anywhere. I think Nasser said it. Dr. Newberg said, hey, it's not going anywhere, folks. It's not going anywhere. AI is a dynamic and growing part of how students learn, how they apply to college, how they demonstrate knowledge, and ultimately how they succeed once they arrive. And so our shared goal here is to make sure that we give them everything we can so that they're prepared. So delighted to answer any questions. Would love to connect with you in the future, and would like to hand it back to Nasser at this point.
Thank you, Dr. McCauley. We do have a couple questions here. I believe Shamik had a great question here. I'm just the folks are doing a great job putting their questions in the chat here. Shamik, if you don't mind coming off mute, would you mind asking your question directly?
Hey, Nasser, I think, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I think,
we hear you.
I feel like the question got
Got answered?
or maybe it got answered. Because I responded to Felipe's question.
Mhm.
And then I did have another question. Oh, it was just building. I remember what the question was. It was there, but it disappeared. I was just really excited about Dr. McCauley's recommendations for what parents and students and the larger community could do free courses, free resources, so that they could become more empowered and more encouraged about their use of AI. So as she was talking about it, I was typing in the chat, hey, what are some good? And then Dr. McCauley was like, I'm gonna share some. And I was like, great.
Happy to do so. Yeah, that's a document I prepared that I'll share along with the presentation. So you all can get access to that.
Okay, is that separate from the Elon University link that you shared?
I don't think I shared it.
Oh, that's right. No, not you. I'm sorry. That was Dr. Kathleen Murphy. Okay, sorry. We got a lot of doctors in the house. My bad. I'm going back on mute.
That's okay. And you can call me Pamela. It makes it easier. But yeah, I will. I have that document that I prepared for this audience, and so I'll share that and the presentation.
Doc, just if I could ask you a question before I dive in here, is how are you managing that tension between your colleagues and administration and professors, and again on that continuum of folks who are more, more bullish on AI and those that are a little bit more skeptical? How are you all managing that as a university?
Well, a lot of times there is tension between administration and faculty. I am very fortunate and blessed in that regard. I don't have a lot of that, partly because I spent 27 years as a faculty member before I entered administration. So I very, very much understand faculty members' concerns on a day-to-day basis. And so one of the ways that we've been very good at addressing that at Widener is getting feedback, making them a part of the solution. And so with faculty, And in engineering, it's probably easier in a discipline like engineering to get them to adopt AI, honestly, than in some areas because we're so used to technology and innovation is such a big part of what we do. But the biggest thing is to number one, help them understand we are all on the same team. We all want the same thing for our students. This is not going anywhere. AI is not going anywhere. And that our goal is to help them prepare so that they can give the best quality of education to our students. And so we have multiple committees at the university level within our school, and then welcoming consistent feedback on, how are we doing in terms of addressing this issue.
Great. And I was on a great interview with another great educator here in the Philadelphia area. And we talked a little bit about the tension that exists in classrooms between professors and students and not creating this adversarial relationship, like there's a policing involved. Are you all doing anything specifically related to trying to create that, inviting students into the conversation? I think you addressed it a little bit. Would you mind just drilling down on that just a little bit more specifically, what you all might be doing at Widener?
Yeah, we have student representatives on some of these committees. That's probably an area where we could do a little more, having more student involvement. The challenge with that is that we are still, quite honestly, figuring out, from an administration standpoint. And so, we're asking students for some feedback on a case by case basis. And that's why I was excited about the young man who mentioned, because of the academic integrity issue, he wanted to help other students understand how to not have academic integrity issues. And I'm going to take the advice of my brilliant colleague, Dr. Marina Barnett. She suggested that he and I work together to present that kind of workshop. Because think about it, students tend to listen even more when another student is speaking. And so I'm glad you raised that point, Nasser, because again, that's an area we're still working on, but I would very, very much like to see even more of that as we figure it out. But we can't wait until we get it all figured out. We just can't. But so we're working on some things now.
I think you highlight a great point here, and I think that if I were on this call and I was on a team and we were still figuring it out, that would make me encouraged in this, that we all are still figuring it out. We're all trying to put our handles around where this is going, what the implications are, and that it's a moving target, it feels like, day to day. So, hey, thank you for being a part of this presentation. I mean, I know you're super busy, just like Doc Newberg, and to spend 2 hours with us, we really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I saw a couple of quick questions. I'm sorry I didn't
Yeah.
get to those, but if you want to learn more about the AI minor, you can reach out to me at the School of Engineering. Terry, somebody said they enjoyed hearing me geek out. Yes, I did. I still love research. I've loved being an engineer. So thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you all. And please do feel free to connect. I would love to stay connected.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Sure.
Well, I'm going to dive in and try to do my presentation in about 10
Nasir,
minutes.
Nasir, could you do me a
Yes.
favor? I'm gonna put a pause on the record for a second, because I know you're going to be using your share sound and things like that. So let's.
Folks, again, thanks for being here this morning. If you got here late, my name is Nasir Jones. I've been moderating this great panel with Dr. McCauley from Widener University and Dr. Newberg from the Philadelphia School District. And today really is, again, a conversation not amongst, what I would call AI nerds. I call myself an AI nerd. I read 8 newsletters every single day, have been in ChatGPT since day one. And when people call me an AI expert, I cringe at that a little bit because I literally am an AI expert till I open my emails in the morning, and then I realize how little I know and how much I got to get up to speed on whatever's happening in the world. Right now, this year alone, our private companies, Amazon, NVIDIA, you look at ChatGPT, Claude, all of these companies across the board have spent about $253 billion of private money to build our AI infrastructure in this country. So there's a significant amount of money being poured into what we know as AI today. And that has huge implications. A place like China is using their own government money to build a very competitive AI program. But that's just to give you an idea of how much money is actually involved and where those large private industries see this going. So those of us that are educators have to take that as a clue that we need to be somehow engaging this in some way. So this morning, this presentation, I want to tell you a little bit more about myself and my day job. My day job is I build custom apps for large pharmaceutical companies and large real estate and education institutions and nonprofits. That's what I do, build custom apps to help them do their jobs more efficiently, bring more apps in-house rather than having all of these ancillary challenges. One of the things specifically, again, we want to give you more specifics. One of the challenges that many districts are having right now as they think about the tools, Dr. Newberg talked about this earlier. I'm so happy that they've kind of crystallized on a few and just want to become experts in those. We're seeing fragmentation now happening, meaning that the thing that AI was supposed to help us with, which is efficiencies and optimization, now because there's so many tools being introduced into the market or into institutions or organizations, and their folks having to learn all those things, now it's becoming a reverse challenge in the marketplace now. So what my job is to do as I do presentations is to help organizations kind of rethink or reimagine what it is that they believe about AI. But just a little bit of background about me. I spent 25 years as an educator, traveled around the country as a motivational speaker. I've spoken to about 1.5 million kids at this point. About halfway into that career, I started a full service web and marketing firm and have been doing that here. Moved here to San Diego about 15 years ago and have watched this landscape change. About 9 months ago, I spent 2 years telling people that AI is going to take you out of business. And so about 9 months ago, it did for my company. I had great clients showing me their great Wix presentations and their websites and Wix builders and such. And it was great for my clients, but not so great for my bank account. And so I began to pivot into AI in many different ways. But getting those newsletters every day, I started getting some research about 6 months ago about this digital AI gap that's happening in our world right now. Meaning that if you're part of the haves, you have access to great internet and you have access to the AI tools that are game changing in this world. But there are many, many demographics that do not have access to AI. And we're starting to see this gap emerge within our culture. So what I got ahead of was something called vibe coding, which means you could use the AI to help build apps instead of using offshore companies, time zone changes, language barriers. And so I began to build apps to help my clients do what it is that they do better. But this morning, I want to talk to you about this, what I call bend the AI curve and the role that organizations like you can play in that particular regard. So I'm going to dive into a presentation here and just give me a second so I can pull it up. And so we're going to talk a little bit about bend the AI curve, right? So we're seeing this divide that's happening. I'm going to share some information with you. I'm going to share all these links with you, but you can download this playbook, and no matter where you sit in whatever space you're in, you can bend the AI curve. I'm going to tell you how I'm bending the AI curve. You don't have to use me as the model, but bend it where you are. But we're starting to see this gap. As I said, there are companies that are pouring billions of dollars into AI. It is not going anywhere. It's just going to be a part of our world going forward. But you can see here on this chart here where this gap is now starting to happen as we get closer to 2025. And we started to see this. So I consider myself a nerd and I get all this information. So Harvard's put out some great information, MIT, across the board. I went into about 150 with Notebook LM, different pieces of either research or documentation related to this because I became super passionate about it. Because I'm like, we've seen these gaps happen before. We know about the education achievement gap. We know about the income inequity gap that we've seen for generations. But now the question becomes is how do we close that gap, right? So we can see here, if you're looking at my screen here, you're starting to see here in 2023, depending on where you are in the world, where those gaps remain. So if you are at the top end, you have 78% access to AI. But if you're a Hispanic family, you only have 58% access to AI. That has real world implications. Many people don't know that in over 50% of Hispanic household, they only have one smart device in their home. Oftentimes it's just a cell phone, and that cell phone is oftentimes not even connected to a cell phone tower. So just imagine you're a parent, it's homework time, everyone's sending their homework home electronically. After COVID, people are not sending kids home with Chromebooks and smart devices. So could you imagine passing around a cell phone only connected to the internet with 3 or 4 children? I mean, it becomes an impossible feat. So that's why it's difficult. We don't talk enough in this country about rural America, meaning that many places in rural America, especially some of you know, if your family's from the South, you know, they don't have access to the internet. If you don't have access to the internet, you don't have access to AI. And so that's going to have serious implications, not just for those people, is that we're not going to have the technical infrastructure, the people infrastructure to maintain the systems that we're building today. So that $253 billion are a lot of server farms, a lot of cooling systems. Those are real paying jobs that people need to be able to be prepared for in the future. All right, I'll go over a couple more slides here, but you can see the model is not lying. So many of these curves that I'm talking about, for some groups, they're flatlining and they're actually going the wrong way. And if we don't address this right now, and that's really kind of where I see myself in the market, where like that Paul Revere AI is here person, where I'm saying to people, look, we do not have the necessary urgency, no matter whether if you are a skeptic. The reality AI is here. We have to deal with it. If we don't do something about it today, our children are going to be left behind. And so I am just pounding at the drumbeat of that as much as I can, as hard as I can. But the reality is that we can bend the AI curve where we are. So as I got ahead of the vibe coding, I built my first 5 apps, and then I got to 10, and then I got to 20, but I didn't have the funds to market it in a way that you would over Facebook. And so I have all these great assets, but no way to get them to people. And so I'm literally like, all right, my bank account is dwindling and I got to figure out something here. And I'm up early in the morning and this word came to me and it was like, just give them away for free. And I'm like, wait a second, give them away for free. And I wasn't really understanding what that meant at the time, but I was building apps. So you had in the beginning of last year, you had 380,000 Black women alone who lost their jobs. So here it is, I'm building this resume app, and it was really bothering me that I was creating and adding to the same gap that I'm now resisting. Meaning this mother who might have just lost her job, great paying job, but it takes 3 to 6 months to get a job. And you know that resume process and submitting applications is brutal. And now she's going to pay me $30 a month and having to decide to pay for my app and also feed her children. So I was not feeling that. I felt like, look, I can do better. And so I build this app store, which will have over 70 apps by the time we get to March, where people can go on and build a resume or if they want to write a grant. So instead of spending hours writing grants, now you can do it in 15 minutes. Or if you want to, again, write your resume instead of that taking 20 or hour every single time to write the cover letter and all that stuff, you can now get that done in 15 minutes. Everyone here has got a great book idea. Get on my app store and go. That it's not a native app. These are all web apps that work just fine. And write your book. People need to hear your story. Or what about a digital business card, right? But all of my apps are free because my core ethos is that I believe that AI should be for all. And AI should be for all means AI should be for all. So the way that I'm bending the curve is I'm giving all of my apps away for free. I know it's crazy. Feel free to go on today, get online, start writing some of those grants. And the other thing that I'm doing is I'm actually launching a national nonprofit organization that is building pilot programs in 10 of the toughest cities in our country. We will be starting in Philly. You can go to AI should be for all /launch today. You can get your free tickets for this event. It's an AI leadership weekend culminating in an event at Arcadia on March the 12th. But my goal is not to nerd out with AI that week. It's just to stir the conversation. So we'll have a panel for women in AI, men in AI, and we'll also have another panel for AI and education, and then a series of other events that'll happen throughout that week. But the goal being to launch this national campaign where we'll go to the toughest cities that have some of the most challenges in our country. So we'll go from Philly to Chester to Wilmington, then to Baltimore, DC, Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, Vegas, and then I'll return back here. So I'll be on the road for 6 months, just casting this vision of we need to do something. So the two ways that I spoke of right now is one is I'm bending the curve by giving my apps away for free. Two, I'm helping or I'm launching these pilot programs all across the country. Three, I'm building a university, an online university taught by my digital team to create culturally specific 24 session courses just to help people get comfortable with AI. And so in my head, those are ways that I can help bridge that gap. The thing I'm most excited about is that there's a lot of great free tools out in the marketplace that are building large language models. So by the time we get to March, I'll have my own, I will not my own, but it'll be, through this nonprofit organization, our own large language model, where we'll be able to factor out some of those biases that Dr. Newberg and Dr. McCauley talked about earlier on. And so uh, the point here being is that if you're an organization, you're a school, could you open up a computer lab that allows seniors to come in to get access to the internet, but also provide some AI, familiarization workshops for those seniors? That's a way you can bend the curve. Or if you're a policymaker, could you be thinking through policies in a way that help bridge the gap between those that don't have access to the internet on a regular basis? I don't know. The playbook is there, and you certainly can go on and be able to take a look at that. But even more significantly than that, one of the things that I want to share with you today is the way that the College Prep Roundtable is now bending the AI curve. And so what we've done is gone on this journey with our ops team and some of our advisors to develop an app for practitioners. And that app is specifically to help them do their jobs better. Most of us got into this work to work with students or to help our communities. And oftentimes the administration and just poor technology, it can take away from that. So what we've gone about doing is building out this app that we're going to launch here in the next 30 to 60, 90 days or so. And we're going to take some beta testers. So be on the lookout if you want to be a beta tester. We're going to take our first 30 or so through help us kick the tires. And we want to demo that for you today as a demonstration of you can bend the AI curve where you are. The College Prep Roundtable is, they're not building apps, right? Like on a consistent basis. But after 30 years of doing this work, now we get a chance to bring that to the technology that's available in the marketplace and be able to help the very practitioners, those of you who are all on this call, to be able to help you do every single thing that you do more efficiently, and then hopefully get you back to doing what you love to do, which is for many of you working with students. And the more admin you get, the more it takes away. So let's demo that this morning. So we're calling this the AI PCPR Toolkit. And it's really to help students become ready for college and have success. And we really look at from ninth grade at this point, from ninth grade, we look at it overall from even grades previous, but this is where we're going to focus. And I just want to play a quick video here so you can kind of get a glimpse of what this is all about. And I'll play that now.
Welcome. Today, we're diving into the Post-Secondary Readiness Toolkit, designed to empower educators and professionals facing the challenge of scattered resources and limited time. This toolkit offers a comprehensive solution to streamline support and help drive student success more effectively. Now let's explore the PCPR Toolkit, your AI-powered partner. It's built to streamline your workflow with intuitive tools that boost efficiency. By automating routine tasks, it lets you focus on what really matters, empowering students to succeed. One of the core strengths is the resource library and student management features. You'll find curated materials for college planning essentials, plus tools to track student profiles and progress. The student scorecard helps monitor readiness milestones, giving clear insight into each learner's journey. Building on that, the toolkit's AI-powered tools make managing your schedule and communications easier than ever. The calendar planner helps with time management, while the email builder crafts personalized messages quickly. Plus, the program scorecard uses AI reports to assess and improve your program success. What this all leads to is a real impact on outcomes and equity. The toolkit supports increasing college-going rates and academic preparedness for all students. It also helps reduce summer melt and fosters equity through targeted support, encouraging collaboration among students and professionals to enhance success. So, how do you get started? Access the toolkit anytime, anywhere to tap into comprehensive resources. Manage student progress and milestones efficiently while leveraging AI tools to transform your college access efforts. This toolkit is designed to elevate your impact from day one.
All right, let's dive into the tool. I think enough talking, Nasir. Let's get into it here. So, every person will actually be able to have a dashboard. They'll be able to see all their information there, all of the snapshot. The great thing about creating this onboarding process is you're not having to enter your information in every single time. So when you go to utilize the email builder, you're not going to have to keep entering your information or your name or your email all the time. It will naturally know to pull your information through the email process. So some of the AI tools that we will be utilizing is one, a presentation generator. We know that some of you are just getting started in this work, and you may not know all of the 25 years of expertise or even 50 years of expertise for some on this call. And so we bring all of that knowledge and expertise to the table. And if you have to do a presentation, we help you get it done way faster than having to rebuild those every single time. Or your email template builders, whether you're emailing the staff at your school or an external person or a parent or students, we help you do that more efficiently. And now listen, I know that there's other tools in the marketplace that do some similar things. What we've tried to do is focus in on the things that we know that we do well and bring some unique tools, if you will. I'll demonstrate this one called the calendar planner. Some of you are going to look at this and really feel upset. So just imagine it's time to plan your fall or spring semester. I'll use this the fall semester. You're trying to prepare a presentation for 11th grade students, and you want to focus in on, we'll just say college readiness. And so what this will do is actually create a full list of activities and events and help you walk through. So, and what I love about this tool, because of how we have it trained, it will actually give you insights or maybe things that you weren't thinking about. Have you ever gotten through till January or February, and you're like, man, I forgot to do this thing. But this tool will actually walk you through all of those neat little features here. And so while this is generating, I will say that it's really important as we think about our work. Again, with AI utilizing these tools. Let's see if I got it here. All right, so it didn't copy. So welcome to the life of an app builder, right? You think that it's going to work and it's not. So, but yeah, this typically spits out a full presentation of events, activities that you would do throughout the year and gives you your full year kind of in one fell swoop. Another area that we've done significant work here is in our area where we brought resources to the table. So all of these resources are distilled. Many of you already have access to a lot of these resources, but what we want to do is be able to provide a central repository so that you as the access professional is not having to always go and find those resources all the time. So when you get here, as you go through these, all of these things are kind of linked live and hopefully helping you get through your work faster and more efficiently. And the other great thing about this resource library is that we actually allow you, if you're on this, to submit a resource to us. Not all resources get approved, but we do vet those resources so that we're bringing kind of the best of the best resources to the table for you. And you get a chance to share those with your colleagues. It's great that this is great for those resources, but the student component is really the meat and potatoes of this, right? So as a access professional, you'll be able to import your students or add them one at a time. But let's look at Destiny Brown here. And this is essentially the key to this whole thing. As we look at Destiny, right? We want to get her to 100% preparedness. And so what does Destiny need to know as a ninth grade student here? And as you see, as she completes more and more items, her overall percentage increases. And so as she's going through her year, she should be coming back here, checking her scorecard along with her access professional. And as you see, as I click on more and more of these dots, you can see she's becoming more and more prepared. And so when she gets to 10th grade, what does she need to know? And in 11th and 12th grade, with the goal of this being 100% when it comes together. But this is what's great about this is that a student can readily assess themselves and see, hey, I'm only at 48% preparedness as a ninth grade student. And what's the roadmap to help me get closer to 100%? So between the access professional and the student, they can kind of create a joint or a unified front in ensuring that they're accomplishing the things that are going to really help them get to where they need to be. So the student scorecard is great, but many of you want to know, like, how am I doing as it relates to my program? How well am I helping my students? What's also great is that after the student is finished this assessment, they can actually get an AI kind of output of some things that they're doing well, how can they improve, what things they need to have on their radar. And just a great way to be able to accomplish that. But the student scorecard is great. But again, I believe that it's important as a program, you're looking at your best practices. So what we have loaded here in the back is over 25 years of knowledge and expertise of what have been the best practices that have worked across organizations like ours. And it's measuring it against it, but also utilizing the AI as well. So the same thing here as you start your year. All right, have you set up college visits? Yep, that's implemented, and it's implemented for all my students. So now you're starting to see 3% overall. That's a great thing. And as you march through your year here, as it relates to motivation, you're starting to see, all right, I'm starting to fill in the gaps. Academic success, am I helping my students find the right coursework? Am I helping them, gain insights and knowledge, and creating the pathway to what it is that they're saying that they want to do in higher education. So you go through academic success as well, and then navigating the process. How are you helping them with college counseling, application support? And we kind of go across those three areas. And then at the end, you can run a AI report, and it's going to tell you, what you're doing great, areas that you can improve, and ways in which you can help your students. What's really great about this is it will actually identify the students that have the most needs. So you can see this AI report is done, tells you about your program strengths, where you need to improve, and then also some actionable recommendations. Sometimes you just don't know what to do, right? And with the help of AI, we can now better pinpoint the areas where you can know specifically what it is that you need to kind of attack to get your program to be as optimized as possible. The last thing I'm going to demonstrate for you today is our college simulator. This would work with a counselor or a professional sitting down with a student who has some aspirations and goals. So we want them to be able to see what is it like or what you need to have in place. So I'm going to buzz through this for time because I would love to open up the floor for any questions anyone might have about this specifically, about anything I presented on, or if Dr. McCauley or Dr. Newberg are still around, more than happy to answer any questions. So this is a four-year university, Dream University. Of course, we got to put Widener in here today. Um, uh, uh, we got to put Widener in here today, and then I'm gonna go to business, and I want to be a business owner. All right. And I'm just going to kind of buzz through here. You can see here I'm in ninth grade. What's my foundation, right? I'm in pre-algebra, maybe algebra one. Really, I should be in geometry. Have I started my foreign language, right? What am I involved in? Because you know those outside activities are important. Have you connected? Sometimes as a ninth grade student, you don't even know that you should be connected to a mentor. And so this just kind of prompts you and maybe someone who you're sitting down with as a student to prompt them like, hey, have you connected with a mentor? Well, I really haven't right now. Are you in 10th grade? Are you taking honors or pre-algebra courses? Right. And so it marches you along here and it gives you a chance to have a conversation and create a picture of what this might look like. Have I attended a college fair or visited a college campus? Right. And now I'm in 11th grade. I need to be in some AP courses here. And maybe I'm thinking about doing a dual enrollment at a local, university that offer dual enrollment, right? Have I taken my SATs or PSATs? So all of these things are kind of helping you. How many schools have you visited? Maybe 3 to 5. Did I get help with my college essays? Some students don't even know to do that, or they're using just Chat GPT. It's like, no, you need some help with your essays. Um, did I complete the FAFSA? It's my 12th grade year. Have I submitted it? Right? Just putting these things on the radar. How many scholarships have I attempted to get? And then you're going to get a report. And this report is going to be able to help you assess where are you in your journey here. And so for the professional, I think it helps give some specific insights, but for the students, it gives them a clear roadmap. And so this student here is 84% prepared if they were a senior. They still have some areas to grow. Here's some strengths, right? Here's some strengths that, that are great that they've done so far. Created some rigorous coursework, right? So they're prepared there. And then, all right, you didn't take your PSAT in 10th grade. So it gives you some areas of improvements and some direct recommendations and some feedback, which is great. And then we always leave with a positive message. So this tool we feel like could be a game changer for Access professionals. We feel like those that are working in communities, whether you're in schools or you're working as an external organization that may be connected to a school or not, we feel like it can be really helpful. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to come back to you. I would love to open up the floor for some questions. I'm going to try to, hopefully, some folks on our team here can help me. Let's see, remove spotlight. I'm going to remove my spotlight too, or maybe I should leave mine on. Tom, I've removed my spotlight here. So,
I would love to put both you and Dr. McCauley on spotlight as
okay.
folks ask questions. Is Dr. Newberg still here? She fell down in my list here. Is she still here? I think she said she had to go. Okay, so I'll bring you both up on spotlight, please. Thank you. Proceed with your presentation. Proceed, Nazir,
No,
your moderation.
I think that's everything for now. I would love to answer any specific AI questions you have. It does not necessarily have to be related to just our presentation, but if there's something that like, hey, is there a tool out there that you can use for this? I review about 6 tools every day. Would love to help in any way I can. You got me. Let's go.
Nasir, I'll start. You are um, a wealth of knowledge and information. Um, dare I say, with the expertise, many of us have family members who were readers. They didn't get a college degree, but they are readers. They were intelligent individuals and very smart. Just didn't have the wherewithal or the parts of their life that allowed them to take advantage of going to college. So I'm saying for you, I know, and particularly that with Carla Hill on the call, that speaking to the interest of building as an entrepreneur that you are, how do you have ideas for us as educators? How do we incorporate advising young people where we may see they have the skill sets to become a Nasir Jones, so to speak? Or how are there identifiers that we should look at in particular to say, hey, I'm gonna push you toward the tech space. I think sometimes things get so hot in terms of a tech space, we push everybody in the room. Everybody doesn't have to be in the room if they don't want to be there. But we need to be able to identify those who have the interests, the skill sets, and the potentials. So do you have some things that you've ever noticed even about yourself or your colleagues in the AI entrepreneur community, that we can use to say, hey, why don't you blah, blah, blah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Spent a lot of time.
Yeah, I think the temptation, my path, I'm the exception to the rule. I recognize that. I don't know why God, ancestors chose this path for me, but not everyone's going to have this path. I think it's important that we continue to push students to college because had I had some of the information and knowledge that I would have gained, critical thinking skills, having my ideas examined, it would have made me a better entrepreneur. So I still think college is the best starting place. The challenge I think we live in today, Tom, is that I think people think AI is a shortcut, and it is not. Because if you don't bring the necessary problem solving skills, or, you can just be spinning your wheels. So back to what Dr. McCauley, I think she was emphatically getting us to think about is that this is just another tool. And it's not the end all be all. It is another tool in your tool belt. It's Thor's hammer, trust me. But if you don't know how to wield that hammer, you'll tear more stuff up than you'll help. So,
Thank you. Dr. McCall, do you want to add on to that as
I,
well
I
as an
sure.
academician?
Absolutely. But first, I just want to commend Nasser. This is outstanding what you've done here and what you're continuing to do. And in fact, I
thank
wrote
you.
game changer in the chat because there's so many folks who I think want to prepare their children, or individuals want to be ready for college, but they may not have access to a Philadelphia College roundtable. And doing this, I think, is so powerful. So I commend you, and even more so for making it free. And so someone said, how can we help you out? I definitely want to do what I can to support you, because I think this is very, very powerful and something that's so needed. And yes, I thank you for the point about college. It's shocking to me that we are hearing people say, college is not worth attending. That's just not the case. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when we would go to church at the Baptist church, and they would pass a hat to get a few dollars for all the college students, and everyone was so proud when any little Black student went to college. And it still has its same value. And like Nasser said, AI is a tool. If you can use this tool with a high school diploma, think about how much more powerfully with a college education you will be able to use this. It will amplify it. And the data shows today that with a bachelor's degree, you will make, and this is today, more than $1 million more over a lifetime in your career. And so now with these innovations and technologies, there's so much more that we can do. And I want to get back to the question about, what students should we push toward AI or technology? And I don't see anything wrong with pushing all of them toward it. Some of them
Okay.
will find it useful from an engineering standpoint. Others will find it useful from an artistic standpoint. Some will find it useful from an agricultural standpoint. So there's no reason for us not to push all of them toward it, because AI is ubiquitous. It can be used in essentially any environment. And so I don't want us to necessarily look for those. And clearly there are some individuals that have more of a technical interest. I was, even though I have 3 degrees in engineering and graduated from high school, early and started this journey, I was a girly girl. I wasn't playing with no trucks and all of that, technology stuff. I had my dolls, my Barbies, all of that. But I loved science. I loved math. And so, I don't think we want to not push anyone there because they may not demonstrate that knowledge earlier. I think a better approach is to talk to them about the things that they're interested in and how AI or innovation can be a part of what they're interested in. And that way, it's not like we're pulling them from what they're interested in, but telling them how to use these technologies and or resources and or innovations to do more of what they love.
And I want to thank you for that, Dr. McCullough, because I realized after you spoke to that, and you spoke to my phrasing of I really shouldn't have phrased it the way I should have said it.
Sure.
What I really was asking was how do we as advisors who are maybe not be tech folks, for example,
Sure.
how do we look for those students who may have the interest and the skills not to. So I used it and it sounded like I was being exclusionary. I wasn't trying to be exclusionary. I was trying to get
No,
to where
I didn't think you were.
I know, but we got like 40 of us on this call. So I'm going to clear my name, so to speak, in terms of what I said, because others may have heard it that way. And I was really asking from a way of how do I see a student saying, wow, this student is really kind of like going way beyond what's happening with them right now, and let me try to get them into some additional things. We've all had teachers and instructors or counselors or those of us who advise and said, you got some great skill sets. You haven't. Let's help me get you in a space where you can try some of this out. That's what I was meant. So it wasn't. I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't mean to be exclusionary. My bad.
No problem.
Yeah, and if I could just touch base on a point that Doc was making, which was um, really not limiting students. I just think that we're entering if those of us on this Zoom meeting, I think most of us are of a certain age. And if you remember, there was a time when to know how to use Word or Excel or any of that was not a part of a job description, right? And then that became like a standard. So now we're entering into a phase where you're going to have to learn how to prompt. You're going to have some baseline, what I would call AI competency, in order to be able to even work at your normal job. And what I would say is there's going to be jobs lost in the marketplace, but there are going to be other jobs that are going to be created. And what we're seeing is now we're moving more like generalists and specialists, right? We're moving more into more generalists. So now in an office, someone can do some HR work, some people can do some marketing work, some people can do some social work, some people can do some admin work. So those jobs that were once just a singular focused jobs, now if you're a person that can do all of those jobs, now those jobs are better. So when we talk about increasing wages and salaries, AI is going to help in some ways. It's going to detract in others, but I think I'm more bullish on where we're going rather than being so concerned about how bad things are going to be.
Let's get some voices on. I know folks are dropping things in the chat and there's conversations going on. Let's get some voices out here. Come off mute and express your opinion and or ask your question. Lots going on, dropping in the chat. My PCPR team, can we help navigate through some of there's a lot of discussion going on in the chat.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Tom,
Um,
if I could mention one thing that's practical here, if you are working with groups, even if for you, every Saturday I do a Saturday school because I believe AI should be for all, where I do live app building. in real time in 45 minutes to an hour. The crowd tells me the type of app they want to build, and I literally walk them through. I have students all over the country. I had a student this week, 8 years old, who built an app while I was talking. I thought he had built it before the conversation. And he's like, Mr. Jones, I have an app that I just built. I'm like, what do you mean you just built it? He's like, I just built it. I was like, so that means you weren't paying attention to me. But I was so ecstatic that he built this app. But it was incredible. It was focused in on math and English for his peers at their grade level. And this young man, 8 years old, built an app in real time. A week before that, there's a young lady by the name of Zoe who built an app for her fellow math students. Zoe is not a bad math student, but I think what she's starting to feel is that some of her fellow classmates who she's used to spending time with are now being left behind, having to do remedial work. They're not in the same groups. She built an app that she was able to take back on her after her winter break to her teacher to help her fellow math students. Now, I can tell you, when I was 12 years old, I was not thinking about anyone but myself. But for a young lady like this to spend an hour on a Saturday morning, so any student, any adult from anywhere around the country can jump on Saturday school, and I'm going to teach you how to be app dangerous and how to monetize your app. It's a $900 billion business a year. And we're not going to get it all, but we can get a little bit more of it. So jump on Saturday school. I'll put the links in the chat.
Carla Hill, I called your name up and you're going to come off. So go ahead and either make your comment or ask your question.
Well, this is amazing, just in terms of Tom and the PCO, the team, just in terms of creating this space, the presenters. Shout out to Dr. Barnett and Dr. McCauley and the school district rep. But as a person that is 35 years as an HR executive and I have my own career planning practice, I guess my overall question, and I see remnants, I see clues pointing towards equipping our students for the workforce, because the workforce is ready now to receive. A quick story, I had a colleague in the career planning space supporting a candidate for a position. It wasn't a student, it was a person looking for executive level position, $250,000. And the feedback he got why he lost that on that position was there was no place on the resume that indicated that he had AI skills. No, and he could have, but it's like they don't recognize that that's what industry is looking for. So would just love to hear how we, as the professionals supporting the students, the next generation, can mitigate some of the blocking, some of the resistance to prepare our students, whether they go to college or directly to trades or whatever, but every occupation is going to require AI skills. So how do we, and let's say that app, that infrastructure is a great tool because yeah, we're going to need people to help navigate them because people won't sit there, but I think it's a great tool for us. So I know it was a lot there, but I would just love to hear feedback.
Doc, I'll just jump in real quick and then I'll let you go. But Carla, like we're in the app building age. Someone from the HR space, you should be building an app to help people with this exact thing. You can do it. You can do it. It's not complicated. It's not as it once was, but bringing all of your years of expertise to this technology is going to be game changing for people.
I want to make sure I understand the question you're saying. Can you repeat that question? Because I want to make sure I address it. Nasser is all about us doing it. I don't know if I want to build every app. So.
Doc, you got an app in you. Doc, you got an app in you. I know you got an app.
But I'm open to tangible tasks that are supporting the next generation that we can do to prepare them to support themselves and their families, right? In terms of that workspace. So I hear you're doing your part, Dr. McCauley, right? In terms of, I see the seeds of pointing them in that direction,
Yes.
but how can we continue that? Because it's already here. It's not just, workforce is looking for those skills and the collaboration now. So how
Absolutely.
can we do that?
Well, I think it's really important to if you're not, if you want to build an app, I think that's fabulous. But I think self-education, I mean, getting online, getting on one of these free courses, making sure you at least understand, what some people don't even know what a prompt is. So understanding what a prompt is, so, and then testing it out even on a small level. And so that when you do apply to these jobs, that's the reason we're starting the AI minor, because employers, to your point about the individual who applied for the job, they are expecting you to know something about AI. And you don't have to perpetrate and say you're an AI expert or you're a Nasser Jones, but you can say, I do understand or have some knowledge of AI. And I'm not necessarily here to build apps to solve all of the problems we have, but I can talk to people who will, or give them guidance or input. And I really do think self-education is so important. You can get online and do certifications. I mean, actually, a free certification. And somebody has bad prompts of why many people are skeptical about AI. You're absolutely right, Candace. And so understanding, what's a bad prompt, what's a good prompt. And if you don't want to, if you're uncomfortable putting your information in and doing a course, go to YouTube. Just log into YouTube, find some videos. You can listen to them anonymously. But it's really important to do some level of self-education. And I know we're all busy, but put it on your calendar. Put like 30 minutes once or twice a week, AI literacy's time. And you go to, and of course, we've got all kinds of resources here, but getting one of those newsletters or getting on. Nasser, do you have a mailing list?
Yeah, so I'll send everybody all the links that I utilize on a regular basis for sure.
And that would be helpful, so you don't have to spend the time researching what those things are. I think Dr. Barnett put something in the chat as well. But really, self-education, just commit to 30 minutes a week, and then encourage other people that to commit to 30 minutes a week on studying AI. My husband always says he wants to learn something new every day, and that's and even if you do it like that, 15 minutes, and so you have committed every week or every day, you're going to spend a certain amount of time to learn. And you will be shocked at how much you will learn. And then also, look for things that are of interest to you. You might be interested in AI as it relates to building community engagement, civic engagement, as Dr. Barnett is. So make it something that's relevant to you, so it'll be enjoyable for you to watch. And I'm going over time, so I'm going to be quiet.
Well, I'm actually going to cut us short too, because actually I just realized I'm working as if my brain is working on time as if we are in our Philadelphia College Prep Roundtable Operation Team meeting. And usually our meetings start a half hour after this one. We are actually over time. So I appreciate for those who could stay, did stay. Let's thank again, I'm going to give him the title of technology, Dr. Nasir Jones, Dr. Pamela McCauley at Widener University. Let's give them a thumb, snicker snaps, hand claps, however you want to do it.
Yeah.